Hello 1100. I'm going to be sharing a few commercial sets with you. These are small commercial sets. We've been looking mostly at residential sets up until this point, and you'll see a few key differences once we get into commercial work. Commercial work doesn't necessarily have to be larger than residential. I mean, commercial can be as small as 1,000 square feet, and homes can go, up into the tens of thousands if they're really being crazy. But you will see a lot of similarities. In particular, the title blocks will be the same. The sheet naming should still be the same. But a couple main differences are the code analysis. When you start working on commercial buildings, that's when the part of the health and safety of the public really kick in as an architect. You have to make sure that the people coming into your building are able to safely get out in the event of an earthquake or a fire. When it comes to earthquakes, it doesn't mean that the building will stand after an earthquake, but it means that the building will stand long enough so that people can safely get out, or at least certain portions of the building, like the exiting, will allow people to get out. Same with fire. So when you go through the code, a lot of it will have to do with, I'm going to come down here to the occupancy group that you're going to be using. And then it also talks about the buildable area. And all of that has to do with building codes. And building codes designate what type of building you can build. And by type, I mean what type of construction. So is it all fire resistant? Is it not fire resistant? There's different categories. And it goes from the most fire resistant to the least fire resistant. Now, the most fire resistant buildings allow you to essentially build as high as you want and as much square footage as you want. The least fire resistant will make it so that you can only build a small footprint, and it might not even let you go 2 stories depending on the type of building that you're making. And so codes really start to play into your building design. Essentially, before you start designing before you start designing anything, you have to see what's allowable by code. And again, it's a lot more flexible when it comes to residential because there's not as many people. So with your code analysis, first you have to figure out how big of a building you can build. From there, you decide how big it's going to be. Once you know how big it's going to be, then you can actually make something called the occupancy. What's the building occupancy? There are formulas for all of this stuff. Once you know how many occupants you're going to have, then you use that occupant number to find out everything from the number of exits, the size of exits, and even the number of water closets, sinks, drinking fountains. It really informs a lot of the design. Now, I hope that many of you will be on this path for quite a long time. And as nerdy as it sounds, I really think that investing in a code book or even looking at a code book online will be really beneficial to you. Once you start your exams, that stuff will be something that you will have to review for the rest of your architectural life, and especially when you're taking your exams. So again, I think it's really helpful to look up those code analysis. So you can see here, this is a little bit of an older project, but they went through the International Building Code, known as the IBC 2015. Salt Lake just adopted the IBC 2019, and you can look that up online and take a look at it. In addition to that, you will also have to show an exiting plan. This is a really simple exiting plan. If you look up here, we've got our code review. We've got the project size is just under 4,000 square feet. We even talk about the city zoning type. The construction type is also in here. And then you can see some of that math. How much of the square footage is designated to business, how much of it is dedicated to storage, And there's lots of other building occupancies and classifications that you can break it up into. And then again, from here, it lets you know how many exits you need. And so as part of getting your permit, you need to show the code reviewer that if the person that's in this corner needs to get out of the building, how far do they have to travel before they can get out? From this far corner and then this corner right here. So that's one of the things to take a look at when you're looking at code. And then we've got one other set here. Now this set has been heavily scrubbed, and by scrubbed I mean a lot of it has kind of been taken away. There's a lot of things that we can't show, but we can show you, the codes that were used here. And I thought this was a great example because, again, this is a small set, and so you can see a lot of similarities without getting overwhelmed between the residential set and the commercial set. And really, it's all the same language. There's just a lot more content here to go over. So I just wanted you guys to take a look at some of these. This is the retail, it's a retail pad for a Dunkin' Donuts that was up in Logan that has since closed. I'm not sure who has taken over. I've also got the Salt Lake Community College technology building. This is a great set to go through, and I'll talk about some extra credit as well. And then again, this is a small dance studio that was done up in Foothill Village. So what I'm looking for these sets is I want you guys to come in and just make a few comments on each set, name some stuff, find some irregularities. Are the sheets named correctly? Is there anything that you see that's missing from the title block? Really any comments. As you go into the field, the more plan sets you look at, I think the more it will help you understand the language of architecture and working with sets. And really just trying to find those similarities and deficiencies so that you know what you can fix as well. Coming back here, this is the extra credit opportunity. So this again is our technology building, and we are having a small upgrade to the building right now. They're installing some fire sprinklers, but you should be able to get into these classrooms. And what I would love to see is I want you guys to take the drawings in person, and for extra credit, what I want you to do is send me pictures of these spaces in person. So for example, can you find these alcoves? Can you go through and find these existing classrooms and see their remodel? Is anything different than what was on the plan? So again, I want you to kind of get on site and do some research. And the way that you would do that is I'm actually going to attach this PDF for you to use, and then you can use Bluebeam to insert photos and comments and then send that back for extra credit. That will cover our commercial portion. Again, we're just looking at small sets. If there are any larger sets that you guys want to review, again, extra credit on campus. If you guys want to go, please let me know and I'll send you a worksheet. But again, these smaller sets really cover the idea of what we're trying to learn with the typical symbols and sheet naming. And you'll get into code analysis in other class, but I thought this was a great intro to get you guys started. All right, thank you for your time, and I can't wait to see you guys finish strong. Have a great week, everyone.